Level 4. The quality rep, $300 to $600. At level 4, the language around these objects shifts. In the communities that discuss, review, and trade them, on encrypted messaging apps, in invitation-only Discord servers, in private online forums operating in legal gray zones, they are called reps, short for replicas. The word counterfeit is actively avoided. The community frames itself as knowing exactly what it is buying, and therefore as existing outside the standard moral critique of deception. In practice, what Level 4 products enable is considerably more complicated than a community of knowing buyers making informed purchases. A Level 4 rep uses movements that are cloned from genuine calibers, not direct copies at the component level, but closely derived with similar finishing and similar performance specifications. The 904L stainless steel that Rolex uses, harder and more corrosion-resistant than standard 316L, appears in Level 4 products. Ceramic bezels, which were once a reliable indicator of authenticity because counterfeiting ceramic pressing requires significant capital investment, now appear in Level 4 products from established suppliers. The crown guards, the brushing pattern across different case surfaces, the polished chamfering on bracelet links, all executed with tooling precision that requires genuine manufacturing investment to achieve consistently. A Level 4 watch fools most watch enthusiasts who do not physically examine it. It fools most buyers in a social environment. It fools most photographers. It does not fool an authorized dealer who holds it, turns it through a full rotation under strong light, and examines it with a loupe. The tells remain. The movement has a slightly different acoustic signature when the rotor spins. A magnetic wand reveals alloy compositions that differ from the genuine article. The caseback engraving under 10 times magnification shows machine marks at the wrong angle. These are the tells of a professional examination. They are not the tells of a casual encounter, a dinner party, or an online photograph. Level 4 exists in the territory between convincing the uninformed and fooling the expert. And at this tier, it reliably achieves the former while still falling short of the latter. Level 5. The Super Rep, $600 to $1,200. Level 5 is where the replica industry stops selling to people who want to look like they own something and starts selling to people who want a passing grade from a professional. A Super Rep at $1,200 is not a souvenir. It is not a social prop. It is an object engineered specifically to defeat standard professional authentication procedures, and at this tier, it largely succeeds. The movement clones used in Level 5 production have been refined over multiple generations. Early versions of these clones were detectable by an experienced watchmaker within 30 seconds of opening the caseback. Current versions require a direct comparison against known good genuine components to identify reliably. The rotor finish, the anglage on the bridges, the color and texture of the plate surfaces. These are now produced with equipment and discipline that a mid-tier Swiss manufacturer would not find embarrassing. The case at Level 5 is produced to dimensional tolerances that require measuring equipment to detect against a genuine reference. The dial is printed with pigments matched to the correct Pantone specifications rather than the nearest available approximation. The lume is formulated to the correct brightness and color temperature. The bracelet clasp, one of the most commonly checked elements in a professional authentication, operates with the tactile response that corresponds to the genuine article. The crown, the pushers, the caseback engravings, all produced at a quality level that will not be immediately disqualified by professional examination. What distinguishes a Super Rep from a genuine watch at Level 5 is not visible in casual inspection. It requires deliberate, systematic examination by someone who knows the specific reference intimately. This is the tier at which professional dealers begin to encounter real problems. Not in their own purchases necessarily. A dealer who examines every watch he buys with proper tools and adequate time is still catching Level 5 fakes at this stage. The problem appears in the secondary market's velocity. Watches change hands quickly. Private sales move faster than professional examinations. A Super Rep enters the market as a genuine watch, sold by a buyer who received it as one, or by a seller who believes it to be one, and propagates through the resale ecosystem at the speed of trust. By the time it reaches a professional for examination, it may have passed through 3 or 4 transactions, each of which added a layer of apparent provenance legitimacy. Level 6. The Superfake with Real Movement, $1,200 to $3,000. Level 6 is where the counterfeit watch industry became genuinely dangerous to the integrity of the secondary market, and where most people who buy and sell watches on the secondary market do not know it operates. At this tier, counterfeits are not built around cloned movements. They are built around real ones. Genuine Swiss movements, ETA or Sellita calibers, purchased through legitimate supply channels by factories in southern China that have both the legal means to buy them and the illegal intent to use them, are installed in counterfeit cases with counterfeit dials and counterfeit bracelets. The movement is real. If the watch has documentation, the documentation is real, belonging to a genuine watch of the same reference from which the movement was sourced. The only component that is counterfeit is the case, the dial, and the bracelet, which is to say, everything the buyer can see without specialized equipment. An authorized dealer who examines a level 6 superfake and opens the case back sees what appears to be a genuine, correct movement. Unless he removes that movement and compares the case interior machining against genuine manufacturer tolerances, a process that requires the right tools, the right reference knowledge, and the willingness to fully disassemble a watch that may belong to a customer. He may pass it as genuine. This is not a theoretical risk. The Federation of the Swiss Watch Industry has documented cases of level 6 superfakes being sold in good faith by experienced secondary market dealers who had no reason to suspect the watch they were handling was anything other than legitimate. The buyers paid genuine market prices. The watches went home as genuine watches. eBay's Authenticity Guarantee Program, which subjects secondary market watches to professional examination before listing, was built partly in response to the volume of level 6 superfakes entering the platform through private sales. The most disturbing fact about level 6 is the industrial sophistication it reveals. The factories producing these watches have access to Swiss movements through legitimate trade channels. They have the CNC tooling to machine cases to Rolex specification tolerances. They have the finishing expertise to produce dials that pass external examination by professionals. They have quality control processes that reject substandard product before it ships. They are, in every practical sense except the name on the caseback, watch manufacturers. What they are manufacturing is a criminal product, and the people running these operations know this completely. What the scale of their operation reveals is that the gap between legitimate Swiss manufacturing and the best Chinese counterfeit manufacturing is no longer as wide as the Swiss industry prefers to suggest. Level 7. The Franken-watch, $3,000 and above. Level 7 is not a manufactured product, it is an assembled one. And that distinction makes it, in practical terms, the most dangerous object in this entire hierarchy. The Franken-watch, the name used by collectors, dealers, and authentication specialists for these objects, is built from genuine components, not clones, not copies. Actual parts removed from actual watches. A level 7 Franken-watch is assembled around authentic components recovered from damaged, stolen, flooded, or otherwise compromised genuine watches. A genuine dial, removed from a water-damaged watch and carefully cleaned. Genuine hands from the same reference. A genuine bracelet, possibly supplemented with additional links from a second watch. A genuine movement, serviced by a competent watchmaker and running correctly. All of these authentic components are assembled inside a counterfeit case, a shell that is not a genuine manufacturer's product, but is machined to manufacturer dimensions and finished to a standard that cannot be distinguished from the genuine article through any external examination technique. The serial number on the case may be real, taken from a different genuine watch, or it may be a precisely engraved fake. The papers may be genuine documents that accompanied a different watch. The box may be genuine. Everything you can see, touch, and read is either real or indistinguishable from real. A level 7 Franken-watch passes every external authentication test. It passes the loupe examination. It passes the magnetic testing. It passes the movement examination through the caseback glass, because the movement is real. It passes the paperwork check. It passes the bracelet tactile test. It passes the crown resistance test. It passes the caseback engraving inspection. The only way to confirm that a level 7 Franken-watch is not genuine is to remove the movement and measure the case interior against genuine manufacturer tooling specifications, or to submit it to metallurgical testing of the case material. Neither of these procedures happens in a standard secondary market transaction. Neither happens when a dealer buys a watch at a watch fair from a private seller with paperwork and a story. Neither happens when an auction house runs its standard pre-sale examination, unless something specific triggers suspicion. Documented cases of Franken-watches selling as authentic through established secondary market channels are on record. Some were caught after the sale, when a buyer sent the watch for service and a watchmaker removing the movement found case dimensions that did not correspond to manufacturer records. Some were never caught and remain in private collections today, worn by owners who believe entirely in what they have on their wrist. The people who built them understood exactly what they were doing. The people who sold them often did not. The people who bought them certainly did not. The conclusion this hierarchy forces is the one the watch industry has been slowest to say plainly. At levels 1 through 4, the counterfeit watch problem is manageable. Detection is possible. Enforcement, however imperfect, has effect. At levels 5 through 7, the problem is not about better examination techniques. It is about a systemic gap in how the secondary watch market operates. A market that runs primarily on trust, provenance, and visual inspection, in a world where the best counterfeits are specifically engineered to exploit all three. A universal, manufacturer-backed authentication system tied to each watch's physical components, not to its paperwork, not to its external appearance, but to verifiable characteristics embedded in the object itself, is the only intervention that addresses level 6 and 7 counterfeits in any meaningful way. Some brands have begun moving in this direction. Most have not moved far enough or fast enough. The tourist at level 1 knows he is buying a fake. He paid $12. He is not deceived. The dealer at level 7 has 20 years of experience, a loupe, a magnet, and a reputation built on not being fooled. And sometimes, he is fooled anyway. That is the 7 levels of counterfeit watches. And the most dangerous lie in this industry is the one told at the highest price. If you want to know how to protect yourself when buying on the secondary market, the exact tests, the right questions to ask, and the platforms that offer authentication worth trusting, that video is right there on the screen.